Howdy, readers. I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and this is Shaketube. And today, I'm going to be discussing the Merry Wives of Windsor, which I had never read before. This week was my first time. So, I've got notes here, so I'll be referring to these. I've got a fun little surprise here for the end. But so this play, from everything I've seen, read, the conversations I've had. This play tends to be regarded as kind of lesser Shakespeare, minor Shakespeare, even unsuccessful Shakespeare. And I can't help but think that those are slightly unfair ways to categorize the play, or to think of the play, as maybe a better way to say it. So we can think of other comedies, okay? A Midsummer Night's Dream. So A Midsummer Night's Dream is really funny. And as Ron Rosenbaum shows us in his book, The Shakespeare Wars, it's also just incredibly profound. Twelfth Night is very, very funny. But it's also incredibly moving. Now, The Merry Wives of Windsor it's not moving, it's not profound, but it is very, very funny in places. I guess I'm just not terribly want to think less of a play for failing to achieve something that it doesn't seem interested in achieving. It doesn't seem at all interested in moving us or in being profound. It just seems like it wants to have a good time. And it's a good time. I find it really, really funny. I'd love to see it on stage someday. I'd love to see a good film of it. Now, I suppose it was Falstaff's bad luck to find himself in this play after having found himself earlier in Shakespeare's career in the Henry IV plays, because those plays are they're much more complex than this. They're much more nuanced. They're much more subtle. They are tragicomic, and so if you come to Falstaff through the Henry IV plays, you're coming to a character who has a lot more going on than Falstaff does here. In this play, Falstaff, and he's not the only one, but in this play, Falstaff is very much so a kind of buffoon, really. Now, there are other buffoons in the play as well. He is not the only one by any stretch of the imagination. There's a kind of a small little cluster of characters that remind me a lot of Dogberry from Much Ado About Nothing and his crew. So there's a lot of kind of idiots romping about in The Merry Wives of Windsor. It's a situational comedy, so much of the humor comes from the architecture of the scene, really. What's going on in the scene, the setup to it all, and what that means is I can't really explain to you. Like, if I try to tell you about a scene and why it's funny, it will involve so much explanation that it will cease to be funny for you. At the end of it, you'll be like, "Oh, I see." But trust me, much of the play is hysterical. Not least when we see Falstaff hiding behind a curtain, trying to escape a jealous husband, and then being smuggled in a bin full of laundry and dumped in the Thames. So we've got the title characters exploiting the vanity in Falstaff, and in so doing, making him seem utterly ridiculous. We've got the title characters looking to teach one of their husbands, anyway, this would be Master Ford, a lesson in jealousy, and everyone involved in the play. Learning something really rather important about agency and about presumption in matters of the heart. So that's kind of the play in a nutshell, as far as what it is. I see The Merry Wives of Windsor echoed in other Shakespeare plays. Falstaff's treatment in the play suggests to me Malvolio's treatment in Twelfth Night. Both Falstaff and Malvolio are vain fools who get what is coming to them through shenanigans involving letters and pretense, Ford's distrust of his wife in the Merry Wives of Windsor reminds me a little bit of Leontes in The Winter's Tale, right? One of Shakespeare's late romances. Now, in The Winter's Tale, it's far more magical. It's lovely, it's mysterious, it's profound. It's also a little bit raw. And in The Merry Wives of Windsor, it's all played to comic effect, but the treatment of it felt a little bit similar. Like when Shakespeare is writing The Winter's Tale, and he's thinking about Leontes, and I think her name's Hermione in that play. It seems like he maybe had Master Ford and Mistress Ford in mind, but I would not have the Merry Wives of Windsor be something it's not trying to be. Twelfth Night is a comedy that also happens to be moving. Midsummer Night's Dream, like I said, is a comedy that also happens to be really profound in some ways. Merry Wives of Windsor is just trying to be funny, and I'll be damned if it's not funny, right? So it's 2018. I'm sitting on my couch reading this play in Wyoming, a world away from where it was written, a world away from when it was written, and I'm smiling and I'm chuckling. Shakespeare seems to have accomplished what he set out to accomplish with the Merry Wives of Windsor. So I'm not going to hold any perceived kind of shortcomings, I suppose, against it. If you want a comedy that's richer and deeper and lovelier and more moving than Merry Wives of Windsor, then read one of those other Shakespeare comedies. Now, before I leave you guys today, I just wanted to mention that one of the things that I loved so much in the play were the insults. There's one scene in the play where Mistress Ford refers to Falstaff as, quote, an unwholesome humidity and a gross, watery pumpkin. Okay, a gross, watery pumpkin. Now that's a put down. There's very little recovering from that. If somebody calls you a gross, watery pumpkin, there's really no retort that you can spout back and put them in their place. So, but anyway, it made me think of these. Now, I haven't used any of these yet because I'm very particular about my Band-Aids and like the brand that I like and the style that I like. So I haven't actually used any of these, but I have a little container here. And these are Shakespeare insult bandages, right? 15 Band-Aids that have Shakespearean insults written on them. And I can only hope that inside this little tin, there's a Band-Aid that says unwholesome humidity on it and or gross watery pumpkin. So I will see you guys next week to discuss A Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm going to start reading Ron Rosenbaum's book, The Shakespeare Wars, this week as well. I doubt I'll get very far into it, but I want to try to get at least 60 or 70 pages into it by next weekend. And as far as the Merry Wives of Windsor goes, I look forward to seeing other videos from y'all and carrying on some kind of conversation in the comments below your videos and below this video. So in the meantime, have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy Shaketube, and I will see y'all soon. Adios.